Do you ever get the feeling that sometimes there are conspiracy theories that are put in place for conspiracy theorists to chew on?
It's just whizzing by my head, RFK. The whole thing is just kind of it plays as a comedy if you're like able to detach yourself from it.
If you're conspiratorial minded, it plays like a comedy. This whole thing is playing like the world's best comeback story. Even if you don't want to believe that it's theater.
No human figured that out. You channeled that. And that came to you. And Ingersoll Lockwood probably channeled the future, 100 years into the future, and then wrote about it. So this shit goes really deep. It's weird.
Think whatever you want about QAnon. I think it's really fascinating that the Q Anon Psyop has built into its lore, this is a psyop. It's a psyop to wake the people up, because I think that's just a very clever thing when you do that. We're looking at a guy in Donald Trump that has more conspiracy theories surrounding him than, I don't know, like pick another person, dude. Maybe Elon. Elon's pretty close up there.
But anyway, when you see these like little strange events all piling up, as a conspiracy theorist, you have to look at it and go, this is quite alarming.
There's something, he plays some really strange role, an integral role in like, I think what kind of is like the biggest conspiracy of our lifetimes, maybe in the history of conspiracies.
Well, and it's also this giant magic trick, sorcery, to completely have us not trust our eyes, our ears, or the experiences.
Tinfoil hat.
Oh, what the f are you guys even talking about?
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Revolution will be podcasted.
Good. All right, guys, welcome to a very special episode of Dangerous. We talk about the dangerous things, and we're going to get into it today with some world-class haircuts. I mean, we got a wide range here, but I want to start off by saying what we're going to discuss today. I already know some people are going to get upset, but this is Tinfoil Hat, and we have the discussions. And I just want to say, this is Sam speaking, that, you know, people lost their lives. I want to get into that, you know, sending, you know, love and respect to the people who lost family members. And we're just going to have a discussion. And the guests are allowed to have their opinions. And we have these discussions because my opinion is it's some shit if you can't talk about something. And if your conviction is so strong and you think you're 100% correct, you should be able to have a conversation. And that's what we do. I don't run from any conversations. I may not even like some conversations, but I have them on my show. So here we are. And welcome the boys from the Nephilim Death Squad, Raven and TOPLOBSTA. How are you guys?
Sam, what's up, man? I like how he's like, let me preface this with, I didn't really want these guys on this show. But I'm going to let him say it because I'm gangster like that.
So here's what would happen. If I did want you on the show, you wouldn't be on the show. I want you guys on the show. I'm
fucking around. I'm joking around.
Like you guys because you guys remind me of the old outlaw days of like everything. And we've gotten so far away from that in content creating. I do think I think some people are trying, but I like it, dude. I like your guys' freedom of what you guys talk about. And that's why I'm happy to have you guys on. So let's get into this. Today, we're going to discuss whether or not the Trump was up or theater or whatever we want to talk about. Okay. I was not into this position at first. I will tell you, I thought that you've listened to, maybe not you guys, but people who listen to Tinfoil Hat know I put out many episodes on this subject, at least a couple, and I've had takes like it'd be too crazy for that to happen for me to believe that. And now things are just starting to happen that make me think that it is a possibility that we have been played like we've been played before.
How does it make you feel? Because you kind of got me into conspiracies. How does it make you, Sam, feel that when this shit popped off, I was one of the first people that's like, this looks as hell. And I've went completely off the deep end. You introduced me to conspiracy and now I'm lost. Like in places you won't even go. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
So that's a great question, right? So I have friends of mine that I love with all my heart in comedy that I would feel their awareness to what is happening in the world is the equivalent to the band on the Titanic, where they just keep playing and the ship is sinking. And they just don't care, and they just keep playing, and they keep doing wacky stuff. So much of comedy today is just the Wiggles, just a grown-ups just going da 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 da. That's so much of what's on Netflix. That's so much what's getting pushed in comedy. That's what people want. They are running to arenas to hear the band on the Titanic. So I go, well, I mean, they're selling all these tickets, they're making all this money. You know, what am I in the right? Am I doing what's right? And I think the answer is yes. I think it's okay I think it's important to know what they're doing so you don't fall for it. And maybe with this, I kind of was like, holy shit. And I fell for it at first. We're going to have the discussion. But I think if you don't pay attention and you participate in their psyops and you allow them to keep getting more and more inches of your freedom and a little bit closer to snuffing out humanity, if you know what they're doing, you can check the psyop instantly, and then you can not participate in it, which is ultimately the way you battle these fuckers. It's
hard though, right? Because and you've been on this side of it where it's like you see something and immediately you're like, yo guys, hold on. I actually revisited the spaces on Twitter with people. Once this popped off, I went on, I said, hey, have you considered the possibility that that this was by Trump? And they shouted me out the room. Yes. I came back to the same room and these guys are having a space about that today. And I'm like, it hurts, but I'm sort of starting to get it. But I think what I wanted to do was just run down the timeline of the events. If you're convinced about like what's happening now, that's fine, Sam, but the people need to hear. So 5:10 p.m. Crooks, the shooter, is identified as a person of interest. 5:10. 5:30, they spot him with a rangefinder. I have one right there. I'm a bow hunter. This is an unusual object. It's like half of like a, not a telescope, but like half of a binocular. And then you press a button and it gives you in a target how far something is in terms of yards, feet, if you have a good one, inches. This is not something you bring outside unless you're hunting. And the Secret Service said, oh, a rangefinder, cool, right this way, sir. And then he goes and we see him in video. He's just walking through the lawn. Nobody gives a fuck. This is starting at 5:10. They're like, this dude's interesting. He's ugly, he's weird looking, bad physique, interesting. 5:52. Crooks is spotted on the roof by the Secret Service. Okay, you've been there for 40 minutes now, and all of a sudden you're on the roof. Let's also stop for a second and talk about how he got on the roof. There was a ladder. So he bought his own ladder somehow, right? But now the FBI director is saying, they asked them, they said, so he used the ladder to climb on the roof? They said, well, he had a ladder. And they said, but did he use it? And they go, we don't think he used it. So now you're telling me he parkoured on the roof with a gun. Okay. All right, whatever. If you believe it, so far, fine. 6:02, Trump takes the stage. At 6:12, Crooks fires the first. So he's up there for 10 minutes. At 5:52, they saw him on the roof. He's up there for 22 minutes.
How long has it been now since he's been identified as a person of interest? This has been like what?
Over an hour. An hour. To the point of the shots, it's over an hour. And they just kind of let this go on. It's like, and people will say, yeah, well, they wanted him to be. And it's like, I don't know. Then some bullets whiz by. Do you want to chime in here, David, now? Because now we're getting into the weird spot.
I want to ask Sam, do you ever get the feeling that sometimes there are conspiracy theories that are put in place for conspiracy theorists to chew on?
What? Okay, so what you're getting into is this thing that I've been talking about forever. I didn't make it up, but I always look at, is this a possibility? And that's called nonlinear warfare. Nonlinear warfare is where the elites give you something for both sides, so we never come together. And I've had discussions with big name comedians about this, and they kind of rejected the idea. But so a great example of this is during the Parkland shooting, the teacher talks about how she saw a cop in military armor shooting people, and this makes it to the ABC newscast about it. And I go, how does that make the final cut? Because they wanted that in there, because that gives the people in our group on our side something to run with. So now we'll never come to any agreement with the people on the other side. It's an old KGB Russian psyop. They fund both sides. They fill both sides with everything. So the biggest thing I would say right now in what you're presenting is that what people will say is that they let him do that. They let him do that. That's why it happened. That's why at first I'm like, okay, this is a little crazy. Because right now we could still be at the deep state is behind this. The deep state allowed this to happen. The deep state turned their backs, presented it. But we just start getting into some stuff which to me makes no sense. But let's just go into your timeline still. Is there any more of this timeline you want to cover?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. Actually, there's something else that's added to the timeline just today. Clint Russell tweeted about it, where in the building underneath Crooks, there's now video where you can see a muzzle flash coming from the ground floor building. So that's in the timeline there at like 6:12 when the shots were whizzing by Trump's head, and it was huge. They were from an AR. That's an impressive gun, right? It's just whizzing by my head, RFK. The whole thing is just kind of it plays as a comedy if you're like able to detach yourself from it.
If you're conspiratorial minded, it plays like a comedy. But I think what we're watching right now is there's a bunch of these things that are on the field as far as conspiracies for conspiracy theorists to chew on. Certainly in the way of the tiny little women who were protecting him in the Secret Service, especially at a time when like all the DEI complaints are at their highest. And there's a lot of conversation about, I think we're finally allowed to turn the corner and push back publicly against, maybe the many ways in which feminism has failed us. And so there is something rolled up into this event for everybody to chew on, whether it's the DEI stuff, whether it's the deep state stuff. But the entire thing plays like, and I can't shake this from my view, it plays like a movie. We've been saying this on Nephilim Death Squad, and it wasn't our own thoughts. It was really just having on guests who brought us interesting information that we found compelling. But we said that whatever you're seeing with Donald Trump, it's certainly my contention that politics at the highest level is theater. That's what I believe. I believe that we're watching theater unfold before our eyes. And with Donald Trump, I find him to be a very suspicious character. In fact, part of what I hope to do here today is highlight some of the more strange things surrounding Donald Trump, and maybe we can create some reasonable doubt as to, to enforce the fact that what you're seeing, you shouldn't just take at face value. But what I see is this massive comeback story. We said on Nephilim Death Squad that Trump was going to face unfair persecution for a long time. We even suggested on multiple episodes, and we dedicated entire episodes to it, that he was going to not survive an attempt, or that he was going to get, we said he was going to survive. So when this came to pass, this was like, wow, this is like, we've done 3 episodes on this topic already. We dedicated 2 hours a pop to this topic already each time. So 6 hours in total. This whole thing is playing like the world's best comeback story. Even if you don't want to believe that it's theater, that's certainly what's happening here.
Look at again, I mean, I read the timeline, but after the shots ring out, the Secret Service then come up, and you've seen Secret Service tackle people, Sam. They tackle you.
Yeah.
They take you down.
Go on. Keep going. Sorry.
You're swarmed, and as a matter of fact, you're not just swarmed, but you're out of there. Like they're taking you, and you have no choice. This was like, he's an 80-year-old dude. they sort of half swim, and the lady gives him like a half hug.
They're
He's
all
never
shorter
covered.
than him. Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
shorter than him, by the way.
Yeah,
Never covered.
You guys are 100% onto so much of this stuff and the theater of this. And at the highest level, it is completely and utterly theater. And what happens is this. There's two, whenever a high impact event happens, okay, we always up against two things as conspiracy theorists. The first one is we are up against the narrative in which the authority establishes, right? Which is, okay, one guy in a Vegas hotel up 1,000 people, and instantly we're like, that doesn't really make any sense. But that's what we have to work from, and that is establishing the ground floor of the conspiracy. Then we're also working against the powers that be that say, I would never do that. Because if I would never do that, that means this guy would never do that. You know, like they transfer their views of how they would react in these situations onto these people they've never met, which is all black magic sorcery. It is literally how Hillary Clinton survived as a politician, was convincing you that she was your grandma, your mother, your sister. And if your grandma and your mother and your sister wouldn't do it, there's no way Hillary would do it. She would never like just drone strike Julian Assange or any of that. So that's what we're up against. So when we start to go, hey, Trump might be behind or be a part of this narrative. Oh no, he would never do that. No one would ever risk putting themselves in a spot where whizzes by him and possibly could do real damage to him. No one would do that. Well, you know, for me, man, again, it's all a theater. It's all like when we watch Ronald Reagan get, that seems really serious to me. And the guy who takes him out is a guy who is a part of JFK, which is George Bush, which now we're all really starting to find out that Mossad is a giant part of three attacks on America now. It's like unbelievable to me that nobody's talking about that.
This episode is dangerous, dude.
Yeah,
Keep going.
we're gonna piss some people off with this one, but I'm excited.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but that's what this show's about. It's like I'm not really into narratives, but I'm into statistics and facts, right? So it's like if you want to be like, oh, these people are all bad or those people, I'm not into that. But if you want to go statistically, this group is this percentage of the population, and they cause this percentage of the crime, or they're this percentage population, and their representation in these major political institutions and establishments of power is this percentage, which is over. I'm into that. I'm not afraid of that. I don't think
you're talking about the Stu Peters thing, and I completely agree with you. Like I'm on Stu Peters' show like often. David's on more than me. We just had him on the podcast. I really like him. Good dude. But like when I see how that narrative is moving, I got in trouble for this as well, where like I started to see the narrative moving of people really like bashing, and I'm like, calm, like, all right. I was making these memes and stuff to kind of raise awareness, and I'm doing it funny, but now I see it like they're taking it serious and they're calling for it. And I'm like, all right, guys, let's pump the brakes real quick, because we already did that. And all that happened was that got Israel. So I don't know what's going on in the larger scheme.
The country that gave you was annihilated.
Yeah,
which is my whole
great
thing
point.
about is these riders. I say it all the time. Like, I will sit down and have a real conversation with anybody about it, because there's just things that don't make any sense. But going back to our discussion is like this divide and conquer. So when people go, Trump could never do this. Well, because you don't think you could do that. That's why you don't think Trump could do this. You're dealing with people you don't know, who live in a world you don't understand. And, we can get into, again, like, where's the most corrupt area, but the most corrupt area in one of the most is New York real estate. Is like so much money, and so corrupt, and he was like the king of there. And he
Yeah.
also lost so much money. So it's like, how's this guy still around doing what he wants to? These are the questions we need to ask that people are just afraid of, because, and this starts getting weird, but people are mammals, and they need a leader of the pack. That they never go without a leader. They just need to have a leader. So
Yeah.
this guy gives them what they want, and they just start following him, blindly. And I like, listen, would I take Trump over Camel Toe Harris 1,000 times, right? Again, I say Trump is Godzilla to me. He wrecked Tokyo, but at some point, Tokyo needs Godzilla again, So I make no illusions, and I just want, again, I would like to talk to you guys about, the history of Trump and who is he? At the least, he's a Jesuit, at the least.
Well, what is Fritz Brigmeyer says that he believes Trump is essentially what we're looking at here, and I've heard you express a similar sentiment. This is an offshoot of, if you wanted to call them the Illuminati bloodlines, this is a rogue bloodline. This is
David, you know what I just realized looking at you? Because I was like, I'm looking at David. I'm like, this guy looks like such a. I'm thinking, if somebody just tunes into this and they hear you saying what you're saying about
I'm
Trump,
not helping the case.
they've immediately painted you as a leftist. It's genius. For 10 years, they've ran this narrative where now if you say anything contrary to it, you're a leftist. And we're like, no.
Happening. I've been so I'm literally called a MAGA guy for the past 3 years because I'm pointing out what's going on in our current situation. As soon as this dude gets shot, whatever the hell happens there, all of a sudden I'm a Biden left, rider, all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I've never been political. I've just been a critical thinker, but they want to treat this like it's a tribal thing. But Sam, what you're saying about getting into this dude's character and who he is, you're talking about whether or not he's a real estate agent. We get weird on the show. I don't care about the real estate agent thing. There is a tremendous amount of very strange coincidences surrounding Donald Trump, and I listed a bunch of them here. I'm hoping we can get into some of them, and feel free to interrupt me whenever you want. But I think a good place to start, everybody's become familiar with him by now, and we just don't know what to do with them. We toss them to the side, is the Ingersoll Lockwood books, right? The Marvelous Adventures of Little Baron Trump and 1900, the Last President, where this guy in the 1800s writes a book about an aristocracy or an aristocrat kid who's rich and a time traveler named Baron Trump. The entire series is narrated by a dude named the Don, who's the master of the universe. And then he comes back again, Little Baron Trump, for another book called The Last President, where essentially
No, Baron Trump's not in that. This is a separate.
Oh, he's not?
No, it's a separate book where he's just writing a story about a bombastic billionaire or millionaire at the time. Yeah, that.
So it's the Adventures of Little Baron Trump, where he has what is it, the same address as Donald Trump's Trump Towers on Fifth Avenue. He's literally got the same address.
Well, so Sam, you mentioned like these people, they don't live the same life as the other people, as us, the lower people, and we wouldn't get it. And I think that is it's a good point, but it's like it goes even deeper, because like they're doing this is some spiritual stuff that's way over our heads.
100%. That's what people don't understand. Like all these really great political talking heads that I love are never bringing in to the spiritual side of this. This is a war between God and fallen angels. Hey guys, real quick, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Fume. Fume, the innovative, award-winning flavored air device. Have you heard that flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's episode, Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has a lot of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, and my personal favorite, orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Fume draws flavor to your mouth. Fume fills the void. Ditching a bad habit can leave. You still have something to reach for. Fume is not a vape, There's no vapor. You can use it anywhere. No, there's no nicotine. It's not addictive. They have non-toxic flavors. It's a guilt-free alternative. No batteries. You'll never need to charge it. Looks awesome. Feel the weight. High quality design. Made to fidget. It's made to fidget with. Calms anxiety with magnets, snaps, and clicks. Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products. Fume is backed by doctors in the U.S., okay? Again, my favorite flavor is orange vanilla. You should try it out. Anything, okay? So here's what I need you guys to do. Real simple, okay? Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you could be the next success story. For a limited time, use our code TINFOIL to get a free gift with your journey pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfume. That's TRYFUM.com. Use a code TINFOIL or scan the QR code on the screen to get a free gift with your order today. So go to tryfume.com, tinfoil, and we thank Fume for sponsoring this show.
Yes.
And somebody that I know who's really really deep like you guys are, like no emotions, just has looks at the data and all that stuff. She was telling me, dude, that because you get into Tataria and all that shit. She was telling me that she honestly believes that Jesus was already came back, already lived for 1,000 years. Listen, I know it's crazy.
Yeah, we know.
And then all of this Tatarian stuff is a psyop to cover up the 1,000 years.
Yep, the millennial reign of Christ.
It could be, bro. That's where we're at.
It's fun.
We're doing a Revelation series with Ed Mabry. We're like 13 episodes in or something. But then we're like, Ed. We could be in the little season, but we still keep going back and let's keep looking at the
season, dude. That's what she's talking about. Satan season, right? That's we're like, dude, and that just totally coordinates with the end of the what are we coming through in the
Kali Yuga?
Kali Yuga, dude. Everything starts lining up.
It does. It's fun, dude. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't look at this stuff and it doesn't offend me. It doesn't offend my senses. I just go, well, that's interesting information. And that's a lot of fun
information, dude.
All right. Besides the whole Ingersoll Lockwood books, they tie into this whole QAnon conspiracy.
Well, you also forgot, sorry, man. You also forgot that the address lines up perfectly.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
In the book, it lines up perfectly with Trump Towers. It's really these books from 100 and something years ago line up perfectly with Trump's whole
So this
thing.
this is something that we talk about a little bit here too, where we're talking about channeling entities. So you've got we can see you. We're live. We're watching all the shit you're talking to us. You've got David Icke channeling entities. You've got Elon Musk probably. I don't know, not confirmed yet. You've got
is
Nikola
that shots
Tesla.
Fired at David Icke?
Well, David.
No,
Icke
it's not
says
shots fired.
No,
he
but
said
he
it.
does say it in his own writings that he channels the spirits of ascended masters from Atlantis,
from ancient Atlanteans, which we call Nephilim, but that's a whole nother thing. So these
I'm down
dudes,
with that too. I'm down with that, dog.
Yeah, but listen, it's just like an age-old thing where men kind of channel something and they get information. I just put up a video about how they make a CPU, like a computer chip, and he's like, first you get rocks, and then they smash the rocks, and it's just an incredible sequence of things. You've got to purify it to 99. Get the fuck out of here. No human figured that out. You channeled that. And that came to you. And Ingersoll Lockwood probably channeled the future, 100 years into the future, and then wrote about it. So this shit goes really deep. It's weird.
And what's at the center of the Ingersoll Lockwood books is time travel. And what a coincidence that that Donald Trump's uncle, John Trump from MIT, is tasked with cleaning up Nikola Tesla's paperwork, and as far as I'm concerned, his inventions, and even corresponding with the FBI about his findings. What are you talking about? Your uncle cleaned up Tesla's rumored to have figured out time travel, and there's a series of books about a time traveler. Which, what are you talking about? And people don't know what to do with that shit. They just get upset and they go, well, let's not look at that. And they go back to things they can understand, politics. They like the theater. The theater is simple. It's made for you to understand it. It's made for the audience to comprehend.
But there's parts of this theater that they don't understand, which is kind of interesting. Like, I was talking to these Hugh guys, and I was like, they were like, I trust Donald Trump. Gave me no reason to not trust him. And I'm like he's the father of that. Like he tells, he did that. I said that all that money, the inflation that we're experiencing right now, he printed that money. He put his name on the check. I mean, he would do stuff to hurt you. And then that goes back to the shooting where people are like, oh, you think he would let it whiz by his ear? I'm like, absolutely not. And they're like, so then you think that guy that with his name spelled wrong on his fire department jacket on the RNC, you think that guy's not dead? And I'm like, no, I think that guy. And that's worse for you because now you've got to deal with this guy's okay with people like Operation Northwood shit. Like, yeah, he's okay. JFK wasn't okay with that. Seems like this dude's okay. You better hope that was an act of God and it was by his ear at that point, because if not, we're dealing with a monster and it's right out there.
Which,
so I don't know
by the
people.
way, we're talking about it wasn't by his ear. Where's the picture? Where is the scab on this guy's ear? It's the most
here we go.
insane
This
thing
is what
in the
I want
world.
to show you guys. This is what I want to show you guys.
Today's episode is brought to you by PurgeSuddenly.com. What if I told you that more people have died from parasites than have ever died from war? What if I told you that multiple sclerosis, acne rosacea, and rheumatoid arthritis can all be treated with parasite medication? Rid your body of these all too common parasites. Purge Parasite Cleanse is made with ingredients like zinc, carrot powder, garlic, black walnut. We're talking all natural ingredients that are good for you. Or try their digestimes to promote healthy gut bacteria and aid in digestion. These, as well as any other products on PurgeSuddenly.com, can be purchased with promo code Nephilim, NEPHILIM, at PurgeSuddenly.com.
Hold on. This is the exact thing that I'm looking at here.
Because when I questioned it, I was dragged. I lost like 400 or 500 followers.
I'm like
Everybody
doubting
hated
Thomas.
me.
I'm like, I need to put my finger into the wound of his ear at this point.
Look at that, dude. Look at that.
It's strange because it's like, what does this mean? He's not even making an attempt at putting a blemish there. Not
Which
makeup,
gets
not a
in the
prosthetic.
nonlinear warfare. Like, he is adding to the divide and conquer.
Dude,
But I'm an asshole for speculating, right?
You know what it feels like?
incredible.
Me and David have been saying, I feel like we're getting like Damar Hamlin. It's the same thing.
100%. And the big thing about Damar Hamlin, that was simply done to get conspiracy theorists to jump on it. Then you parade this guy back out, and then you get the people who are begging for a reason not to believe in conspiracies. You just gave them a reason not to believe in conspiracies. And
What's
here we
really-
go. Now you got the people on the left. Now they're conspiracy theorists, and our people are all, swallowing, deep throating this whole narrative. And it's like, I'm going to be honest with you. I knew the first tweet I put out is my spider senses are tingling. That's all I knew something didn't make sense. To what extent, I didn't know. But I knew something was instantly not adding up. My spider senses were tingling. And then I started seeing people that I love who and I've said this on those shows, come out and they're getting things wrong when in the past they batted 1,000.
Yeah.
They never got it wrong. And they're getting shit wrong. And then they're deleting the videos because they're like, oh, that was wrong. And I'm like, I've never seen so much misinformation, disinformation just pumped into the timeline, into the discussion, where nobody knows what they're coming and going. Within 5 minutes, we have 3 guys that everyone think, who is this guy? Is it this guy? Is it this guy? Is it that guy? I'm like, that doesn't just happen naturally.
Well, you know what all that stuff leads to? It leads to it's the deep state. It's this administration's CIA. It's this administration's Secret Service. It's Donald Trump and the White Hats versus, you know, the deep state cabal. This plays right into that. This dude is, think whatever you want about QAnon. I think it's really fascinating that the QAnon Psyop has built into its lore, this is a psyop. It's a psyop to wake the people up, because I think that's just a very clever thing when you do that. You go, people are going to say this is a psyop. Well, why don't we tell them, yeah, it is a psyop, but it's a good one. It's to wake people up. There's a lot of validity to whatever Q is. It is some sort of intelligence operation. It is a bit of theater for the critical thinkers to chew on, in my opinion. That's what I think it is. I think it's this sort of left-hand path, right-hand path, dark magician versus light magician. I think we're being given this false binary of Trump and the good guys versus Hillary and the deep state and the bad guys. And honestly, this whole event plays
It's a lot of fun.
This. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, dude. I love it, honestly. But I think that this event plays directly into that. You know, we're looking at a guy in Donald Trump that has more conspiracy theories surrounding him than, I don't know, like, pick another person, dude. Maybe Elon. Elon's pretty close up there, but I think that this entire thing is, I mean, look, whatever you want to say about the conspiracy theory side of it, if he took and there's no discernible scab, then maybe you could make an argument like, oh, well, he didn't get hit.
Like, all
Where
of this
did all
stuff,
that blood
guys,
come from?
all of the stuff, like as I'm outlining the absurdity of the sequence of events, all this stuff lined up, all the way to the ear pillow at the RNC and everyone copying it.
Everybody
and then
wearing the ear pillows?
Then he just takes it off, and it's just like nothing. And this is all, if you're a conspiracy theorist and you're on the wrong side of this, like a lot of people were on the wrong side of COVID when it came out, right? I was on the right side, thank God. I figured it out fairly quickly. But it's one of those, it's a big event that's going to be used dangerously against, as it's going to be used as a weapon from people that we're allies with right now. But anyway, when you see these like little strange events all piling up, as a conspiracy theorist, you have to look at it and go, this is quite alarming. I don't know what happened here now.
Well,
I
how
think
about the fact that the next day he's golfing? It's like he doesn't even miss a beat.
It's strange.
It
It's
doesn't,
strange.
like, dude, I've never met anybody that got in his head that would be like business as usual.
Did you
And
know our everybody's favorite satanic witch, Marina Abramovich? You're familiar with her, right? The spirit cooking
yeah,
queen.
that stuff that just came out. It's
Well,
just
she
so-
called him the magician that was going to awaken the world. There's something, he plays some really strange role, an integral role in, like, I think what kind of is like the biggest conspiracy of our lifetimes, maybe in the history of conspiracies. But
that would make the leftists right, because I can't understand.
But not completely right. Not
No.
right the right way.
But here's where they're right. Like, and not just leftists, but like your family member that just has this distaste for Trump for no reason. It's like, he's been gone for 4 years, and they're like, yeah, but I can't stand him.
Yes.
I have this taste in my mouth about him. Maybe their radars went up when they saw this guy, and they were like, something about him, this uncanny valley. Because otherwise, I can't explain the reaction that people have to the guy.
But since it's void of logic, we push back against it. And it's like,
And now we live in this kind of don't know if we're coming or going, because now the left is the conspiracy theorist and the right are pushing establishment narratives. That's just how they get us divide and conquer.
that's just the pendulum.
Well, and it's also this giant magic trick, sorcery, to completely have us not trust our eyes, our ears, or the experiences, the wisdom of our experiences. That is Marxism. That is, again, if we go back to nonlinear warfare, that is what they do. It's like, what is that quote from 1984, which is, it's basically get you not to believe your eyes or your ears. And that was their most important. And that's what they want you to do. They want you not to be able to pay attention to any of this. So now we got this thing with Trump coming out with this, I'm not a Christian, I am a Christian. And depending on which video you're watching, Like, it's clearly he says, I mean, we can watch that video. I'll try to find it.
Well, you know what I look for, Sam, is the body language in it, because I've seen it. If you watch it without subtitles, it's a lot easier because the subtitles lead your presuppositions about what he's about to say. But if you look at him, he goes, "I'm not a Christian." He puts his hand on his heart when he says "I'm," and he shakes his head no.
He shakes his head no.
Yep.
That's what I'm telling you. Like, you don't even have to listen to it. You go, at that moment, what is he saying? And he's doing this.
This is that blue dress. This is the blue dress, gold dress shit. And it's honestly, I'm like, this shit is done on purpose at this point. Like, think about the psyops since that. So he's right all the way to I'm not a Christian. That might be the latest thing. There might be something else. But then before that, we've got like, oh my God, everyone loves Kamala Harris. And then before that, they're like, Biden might be. We don't know. And then in between that, they're like, he's also 7 feet tall now. And he's just walking around the White House lawn.
Biden.
They are just boom. They're f***ing us up with this
No, Sam
stuff.
is right. It's sorcery, right? We just said Marina Abramovich called him the magician that's going to wake up the world. What does MAGA mean? MAGA means magician in like 4 different languages. That's what MAGA means. MAGA means in Latin and in Greek, magician and sorceress. In Japanese, it means to confuse, to distort, and to complicate. It's like somehow all this sorcery is right there. It's right in your face. Even Donald means world ruler. It's bizarre. Like this, it's like it's in your face in a million different ways, which I think is part of the game. It's like there is something unfolding here. You know, everybody talks about revelation of the method. Why is there so many breadcrumbs everywhere? And I talked to Donut once, and I think he said it the best. It's like, because if they tell you in enough ways, then you're complicit. You're complicit. You're consenting. And if it's like a sin, you're complicit in the sin. I think that's exactly what it is.
Revelation of the method. Did God tell you for karma reasons? And like, people are not flipping. There's a couple people flipping out in the comment section on Twitter more than on Rumble. Rumble, there all seems to be like
Rumble's all the crazy people are on Rumble.
Yes.
No, Rumble
all
gets
the base
it.
people.
Rumble seems to get it more than Twitter seems to be just like really angry right now about the whole thing. Well, I wouldn't say
Sam, remind me later. I'm gonna give you a link where you could link your Rumble chat into the StreamYard studio. That would probably help you if you do lives.
Oh yeah, I do need to do that because they're not here, but I would love to do that. So it's like, yeah, so you have this whole thing like Revelations 3:3, and I saw one of his head, as it were, wounded, and his wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. Like, I get it, dude. I'm a Christian. I know you guys don't want to believe I'm a Christian. I am a Christian.
Sam, how much would it cost for me to get you to do an audio book of the Bible? Like, you just read from.
Great.
It would take years.
I would buy that in a second. That would be amazing.
Years. I would have to do so many takes because my head moves quicker than my mouth.
Sam, did you know that Trump's dad's middle name was Christ? Did you know that his mom's name was Mary? Did you know that his grandmother's maiden name was Christ?
Like, that's so crazy to me.
And his gardener was Jesus.
Christ. Even though my kids are Ghost and Ninja, but that's hilarious, Jesus. Yeah, it's just crazy to me. So you have that going on, and it's just like, for me, it's like, what is also a big psyop going on right now, and that is the elites telling us you never have a say. You never have a say in who's going to be your leader. We have just cooed Biden, which I'm already on the record saying that was the plan from the start. This has been a giant just theater production of Joe Biden. I just feel like they want to keep Joe Biden around as long as they can to get him to do all the worst of the worst shit. So when they chuck him to the side and it's camel toe, that she gets this kind of clean slate with everything. That you can't throw all the worst shit that he just did onto her. And then to watch black people like, who I love, dude, Chuck D from Public Enemy, just deep-throating a cop. I've never seen anything like it in my life. He's doing photo ops with Blinken. I mean, it's like,
they're really rolling out that, like, so, I don't know. The whole thing is very confusing. I mean, even when, you know, it wasn't long ago, Twitter was kind of on fire with, and it still is in many ways, this anti-Israel sentiment for a lot of good reason. But it became very popular. You know, it was this about or this about Israel. And there was a moment when things got really, really to a height with that. And then Donald Trump gets hit with those 34 accounts that all end up getting dropped.
Let me say, that whole thing with I'm not going to say that I started it, but it started to snowball when Elon Musk answered me. I don't know. Do you remember this? Like, I made a tweet and it had Joe Biden sleeping and Mel Gibson all jacked, and he's like ripped. And I said you could hate the Jays, or you could do which way Western men. And then Elon Musk answers it. It goes super viral. Then there's like articles, 3 or 4 articles written about us and calling me a blood libelist, anti-Semitic, yada yada. And he deletes the tweet. But then a year later, like you had that, the Kanye West, and then you have Elon Musk kind of like memeing this thing into like the culmination that we see right now. It's because it's like,
which is like the door's open
it's raging hot. Yeah.
It's like the faucet is cranked all the way open.
And I'm like, I hate that I feel like I played a part in that, like just as like a useful idiot, where he's like, I'm going to turn up the volume on this just a little bit, and we're going to turn it up again here until the point where he's at now, where he's like fully endorsing Trump. He's talking about Christianity. That's another thing.
Yeah.
He's like, so Christians are just going to sit around, and that's how you guys are going to be eliminated. You guys can't just sit. So I'm like, now we
Andrew
have Elon
Tate's
Musk
doing the same thing. He's out talking about Christians need to, grow a backbone and defend themselves. But what I find fascinating is that after all of that, this sentiment thing reaches its height, and then when he has these 34 accounts hit him, it's just Trump 2024, Trump 2024, Trump 2024. When he gets at Trump 2024, he's our guy. Everything flips, and it's crazy because there are, we're talking about whether or not I'm a Christian, I'm not a Christian, that whole thing. He's wearing a yarmulke. He's kissing the wall in Israel. He's receiving the crown of Jerusalem from the Israel Heritage Foundation.
He's on a shekel, dog.
He's literally next to one of their messianic figures, King Cyrus. He's on one of their minted coins, and it's my understanding that the proceeds from that coin go towards building the third temple, or going to a fund that's going to be used to build the third temple. So I mean, of course there's another weird messianic figure because people are suspecting he's the I don't think that they're that far off from the mark, but there is a never-ending supply of strangeness surrounding him, and everybody goes from this like pull, even with the thing, right? It's like, everything that happened during COVID was terrible, but Trump 2024, despite the fact that he's the father of the, despite Operation Warp Speed, it's people are such suckers for a good story. It's like their guy is getting wrongly persecuted. Even the protocols of the elders talk about creating a messianic figure and having his events mirror the persecution of Christ, which is fascinating because of the way that Trump has been unjustly persecuted in the public eye, and now he's had his life attempted on. And I think that creates such an emotional story that people put all their critical thinking to the side, and they just go, this is our guy. Look at this. It's a good story.
And you saw that completely. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
You saw that completely. Hold on 1 second. You saw that completely when the libs of TikTok just started going after all like cashiers at Home Depot, and how the right just flipped on everything they stood for. When they were anti-cancel culture, suddenly it's like, they just gave them a reason to get up in the morning. Their nipples are hard, and they're just like going after fat old ladies, completely being the hypocrite that they were just calling out Ben Shapiro for. It's just like that's what they want you to be. They want you to be emotional. They don't want you to use logic at all. They don't want you to ask yourself, who benefits from this? Why do they benefit from this? How does this help my cause? How does this hurt my cause? And that's what this is all about. Anything other than having a real conversation about where our country's at. And where our country is at is that Israel treats America like America treats Latin America, okay? And that's how it is. They assassinate our leaders, and they manipulate our elections, and they control everything. And that's exactly the way it is. And that's not either. That's my biggest thing. That's why I have these conversations. And there's going to be people that can't stand this conversation while I yell anti-Semitism. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate any groups. I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Jews. I don't hate Buddhists. I don't hate anybody, because at a street level, everyone's just really trying to live their life and take care of their family. It's this like hardcore psychopath minority of every group with is completely and utterly funded and weaponized by the same people at the top, which tends to always be Babylonian sorcery and sorcerers at the top of everything. If you even go look at like Jeffrey Epstein, there's so much occult symbolism everywhere. There's more occult symbolism than Judaism symbolism.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of this stuff. I don't typically get into the realm of making predictions, although we did say Homeboy was going to have an attempt made on his life and he was going to survive it. He was going to survive it specifically is what we talked about. And like I said, that wasn't our information. We were just saying, well, if this stuff that we're looking at is true, these are things we might come to expect to see. Then I would go as far as to say we're going to see a lot of vindication, even on the QAnon front, which I do think is a psyop that's used to bolster the character that is Donald Trump.
Honestly, and David, it's not just, listen, I mean, let's get crazy. Forget about the vindication. I will go out on a limb and say that we might see some like actual crazy shit going on. If we truly are in the end times, we are, I don't know, 3 years away from probably seeing some like Nephilim like it's normal. In the news, in the mainstream media, you've got Tucker Carlson running around introducing the idea of the Nephilim, talking about spirituality, talking about the giants, laughing with this Kabbalah bracelet. Like it's being put out there as this like soft, like, we're gonna start working our way into this, working our way until something weird happens, and people are gonna be like, oh yeah, there was just another Nephilim at the Miami Mall. What they do? They arrested him.
We're gonna be surprised at people's like not getting shocked at amazing things.
No, for sure, but it's like they've gotten to a point where they don't even actually have to have it happen. It just appears on our video screens on the internet, and now the internet is just this reality that nobody really experiences in real life. And it's just like you go on Twitter and now there's whole different reality is happening to you, which the internet and in particular Twitter is becoming a trauma deliverance system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think we're also going to see the building of the third temple soon, especially when you take into consideration his relationship with Israel. I mean, have you ever heard the song Super Trump? We don't have to play it, but the Israel Boys Choir, they sing about Donald Trump. They treat him like he is a messiah. Like we said, he's on this coin next to King Cyrus. Yes, exactly. Order out of chaos. And so one of the things that I think, especially considering we just had the red heifer prophecy get fulfilled, and then I think
are those fat chicks? Did they kill?
I know. What happened is it was creating too much hype, for lack of a better term, and so those rabbis that were in charge of burning that heifer and then sanctifying the tools with its ashes to build the third temple started to have to operate in a way that wasn't so public, because the government of Israel became afraid that there was going to be obviously there was an element of the Hamas attacks where they said to some degree this was because of the red heifer prophecy.
This feels like a century ago, right? Like
it feels like forever ago. Yeah,
there were tunnels in January. Like this is when we started off with. Do you remember this shit?
It's been an exhausting year.
So the question becomes is why is all this stuff being allowed to talk about? And this is kind of what I start to get into, like why I think there was a controlled opposition. It's because he had a job, which was the Orthodox didn't want to move to Israel. They didn't want to move. They liked living in Europe. They liked their lives there. So they had to come up with a way to scare the shit out of everybody to get them to move to Israel to fulfill the prophecies. And that bang, bang, pow happened right there with World War II, and they all moved there because they weren't moving there. They didn't want to move there. They liked their lives. And so that's the same thing is happening in October 7th. And then you have all these like talking heads going, I can't walk the streets, scaring people even more, trying to get them to move there. And it's like, this is all fulfillment of prophecies. Even the Christian Zionists are fully into it. And it's so crazy because like they're totally kowtowing to this. view of the world, while at the same time trying to, it's like the Talmud Zionists believe that everyone that is cattle, and then the Talmud, the Zionist Christians want to get all the there so they could burn in hell. It's a very weird relationship.
Yeah, I was I went to a church that was kind of like a big mega church, and they were evangelicals, and the sentiment was very much like, look, we don't like that all these kids are dying, but like ultimately this is going to bring about the second coming of Christ, and then the Jews will see that they were wrong. And I was like,
It's the
what the
question.
Yeah, it's so weird, right?
Yeah.
There's a huge question. Why are the Jews moving in breakneck speed to complete this? Because they're fulfilling New Testament prophecy as well, like prophecy from the book of Revelation, which is strange. It's like, why would you want to fulfill our book? Like, I understand you have your own book where your Messiah comes back, but they're just trying to, like, it seems like they're trying to accelerate shit, like make.
Right.
Well, this
They're
is what this is.
manufacturing prophecy.
This is what Jews do, and this is dangerous. But Jews hang up wire across New York City so that way that they could break God's rules and do business on the Sabbath because technically it's in their home. It's like these people are trying to force God.
Real?
Sam didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Please
But
explain that to him. No. You got to explain that to Sam.
for like 162nd Street or something like that, it's like they have a domain in Manhattan where it's just a layer of fish wire all the way around it. And if you go, you can look up and they can do business in there on the Sabbath because they've tricked God. The same way they could have a kosher refrigerator or like a light. They'll have a light that says, well, it's on Sabbath, so they can't press anything technical. But if I did happen to turn this, then there'd be light. And it's like, you're not fooling God. You're not tricking God. If you really believe in these traditions, then uphold to them. But these are the same people that are trying to force God to come back.
Yes.
It's wild. It's wild to think.
I'm just telling you, dude. It's these extremists of all these groups that just are getting manipulated. Like, it's like the reason you hear Israelis talk as insane as they are is because the powers that be need them to be crazy, because they'll do the dirty work, which is to cleanse that area and just take over the land so they can build it up a canal, which means they control trade route, which is completely typical of whether you believe in Khazarians or not. The country existed and they were known for controlling trade routes.
Mm-hmm.
It's why is it Israel? Why is Israel helping Azerbaijan annihilate Armenia? Why did Israel, which was built off of the history of, okay, why did they never condemn the genocide? Well, because when you go back far enough, are Turkish. Like, it all like kind of lines up and makes sense to me. And like, so you really weaponize the Israeli people, because if you get them doing all this really crazy shit in a religious fervor, it gets done. It gets done. They don't feel like they're doing anything bad. They're children. And all these people. Again, I love, you talk to Adam Green, he'll be like, it's in the Torah too. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say he's not right, and I'm not gonna say he's not wrong. But dude, I have friends. They're just people, right? They're just living their lives, trying to feed their family, take care of their people. But you have this wing of crazy that does crazy shit.
Well, I'd like to take a brief moment to just ask Adam Green to unblock me. I'm sorry for all the jokes. I actually never had an interaction with him, but he did block me, and I think it's because I've gone pretty hard on the news in the past.
I'm good with Adam Green. That guy, I think that guy's. Listen, I think if you can definitively say one thing or the other without question, you're kind of, I don't know, not interested to talk to you.
You know what I did want to touch on really briefly, though, because we talked about it earlier and I didn't get to say it. It's like we're experiencing this renaissance of like bros. Sam, you said that before, and it's kind of gross and it's kind of gay.
Crazy to me.
Yeah, and I think that you watch like Europa and you get this impression of like that's just trying to do the right thing for Germany that's being subverted by and everything that happened with the Bolshevik Revolution, and there's a shit ton of validity to that. But what I want to say is like nobody focuses on like the end and all the weird occult shit, and how he's hopped up on meth and he's screaming from the Zeppelin Tribune, and the Zeppelin Tribune is the fairgrounds, and the place that he speaks from is a mock-up of the Temple of Zeus. And the Temple of Zeus it's in the Berlin Museum, and it was found in Turkey, which was ancient Pergamum. And in the Bible, it says that Pergamum was the location of Satan's throne. And on Nephilim Death Squad, we talk about often how you can trace these entities, these pagan entities, these, the Greek pantheon and all these different pantheons. You can trace them throughout different cultures. They're the same characters. They just have different names. They're the fallen. And Zeus in particular, you can trace him back to Baal. You can trace him back to ancient Sumeria and Babylon. And when when wanted the Zeppelin Tribune, the fairgrounds for all the events to be built, he commissioned a guy, and the guy drew inspiration from the Temple of Zeus that was now in Berlin, in the Berlin Museum. And I just think it's kind of crazy that, like, this guy, even the eagle is a symbol of Zeus. I know that we adopted it. Seems like a lot of the more dominant societies on the planet throughout history have adopted the eagle of Zeus, which is the eagle of Baal, the eagle of a fallen angel. And the Nazis did the same thing. So you've got this giant eagle behind you. You've got this dude who's on meth, who's standing on the Temple of Zeus. There's even rumors that they were able to get stones from the actual Temple of Zeus to build the Zeppelin Tribune. And he's screaming, hopped up on meth, which if you talk to one of our favorite guests, Dr. Jerry Marzinski, he's a clinical psychologist, he says that methamphetamine is the #1 drug that will enable entities to get access to you.
100%, dude.
So
I've been saying that forever. I'm so smart.
I just think it's insane that we're leaving this out of the conversation. Have you noticed that all the occult shit with is left out of the conversation? But it's just he was a good guy trying to do what was right for Germany, and it's like maybe he started that.
You know what?
way.
I'm connecting a dot right now because do you remember when Trump was like first elected 2016? They're like, this guy's amazing. He doesn't even sleep. 4 hours a day maybe. He sleeps on his plane. Then he's in 3 cities doing his tour, his show.
I do now a lot of meth.
Like, this is a fleshed out thought of mine. It might not be meth anymore. It might be some kind of upper, but like
Adderall.
Yeah, I don't know. Something. If you're on a brother or a sister drug that's similar to meth, I wouldn't be surprised if you're channeling with entities.
I would imagine they really dialed it in. Like if meth was the shit back in the day, like Adderall is probably way better. They got rid of a lot of side effects.
I'm in recovery, dude, and I see people come in tweaking and they look possessed. You see how people on the streets who have crystal meth problems, they all look possessed. I just 100% believe it's all cult magic, black, low vibrational magic. And like just the final thing on is just this. What they want you to believe is this, is that is this anomaly that came out of nowhere, that it came into a country that was completely on lockdown because it just gotten its kicked in by World War I. And the bankers had everything on lockdown. And somehow he was allowed to rise to the top. And like no other place is that ever allowed to happen. Everybody else is controlled. But here's this anomaly that somehow gets there and they allow him to do it. And the whole time, he's taking money from these people he's supposedly he's battling, dude.
Are you talking about or Trump?
And Trump. There we go, dude. I mean, 100%, dude. If we just go with IG Farben, let's just take that one company, which everyone who really knows the topic was a giant part of rebuilding the military industrial complex of Germany. They had an American board called American IG. Okay, these are facts. We're not going to have anything where you argue about this. These are facts. On that board are the heads of the New York State Federal Reserve, the people he's supposedly fighting. It's like, come on, dude. Come on. And why does he go into Switzerland and take out the one bank that is depleting Germany's money, which is the Bank of International Settlements, which was specifically set up to get reparations from Germany for World War I. And the reason they'll tell you didn't go in there is because it had mountains. But these are the same guys who are working with UFO. Like, come on, dude.
Today's episode is brought to you by HeavensHarvest.com. In times of uncertainty, peace of mind is priceless, and Heaven's Harvest has your back with the highest quality emergency survival foods and heirloom seeds. They have survival food kits for emergencies that last a week all the way up to 12 weeks. Choose from protein kits, entree kits, breakfast, fruits and veg, and even organic kits for you bougie survivalists. Don't forget to check out their heirloom seeds and choose from their vegetable kits, artisan seed kits, superfood kits, and more. They even have water filtration units. Build your stockpile without breaking the bank by visiting HeavensHarvest.com and using promo code Nephilim at checkout. That's promo code Nephilim, Nephilim, for 5% off your entire order.
Come on.
They don't talk about that. That's the thing that's really bugging me out lately is like, I get doing a historical dive and you know, learning about Weimar and all these different things, but all of a sudden the buck stops there. It's like, look, we're having the same problems of Weimar Germany, and you know, Weimar conditions require Weimar solutions, and this sentiment is going around rampantly. And you know, all of a sudden the cat's out of the bag. Everybody's bro, but nobody's talking about this.
And this is why I think bringing up this whole Trump subject is very important to talk about now. Like, where we can cast some reasonable doubt on some of his actions, because what it looks like to me, like I said, when you have this new build up and those sentiments are like right there, and then you have this strong man coming and you have Weimar conditions, everything is set to believe the narrative. Yes. And it's all set. I've been saying for a long time, it feels like we're just going to repeat that cycle. But like you said, Sam, Germany got wrecked. Germany was destroyed after they repeated the cycle. It was fun. Sure, you got to persecute the people who you thought were your enemies for a little while, and things might have been okay because you maybe diminished some bad people or got rid of some population. But how did it end up? It's not going to end up good for you.
Here, and they just poisoned our institutions. But you know, we're kind of seeing we're talking about how this is theater and the stage is getting set. Even this Olympic ceremony, I think, is designed to do just that. It's meant to make us fed up. They're putting it right in our face. Do you remember back in the day, Sam, where it was like people being a conspiracy theorist? I've been one since I'm 16 years old, and it felt like I was alone. It felt like nobody else can see all the weird shit that I was seeing, and it didn't make me smart, it just made me like schizo. But I don't think human nature has changed. I don't think that people can suddenly see where they couldn't see before. I think they're now allowing you to see. They want you to see the corruption, how disgusting everything is. They want to show you the ceremonies at the Olympic Games. They want to, laugh in the face of Christianity, mock the Last Supper, all this stuff, whatever. They want to drag out Dionysus and trannies and all this crazy shit. But they want you to be fed up. And then they want you to look for a strong man to come and solve the problem finally. I think that's what these last maybe 5 or 6 years have really been about. It's like they've been boiling the pot to the point where we can't take it anymore, and then they're going to give us the solution. It's Albert Pike, right? Morals and Dogma. When the people, we will provide, how's the quote go from Albert Pike? When the people want a hero, we will provide one for them. I'm paraphrasing. It's something to that extent. But that's what's going on here, I think. It's exactly that playbook. It's create these horrifying conditions and then present the solution so that we clamor for it.
It's that with the backdrop of Mark Gastineau says, got to the Alps, walked right into the mountains, and then he says CERN. It's like, it's that, but with the backdrop of like, we're channeling entities, we've created a machine in this specific spot that will open up a doorway to whatever to come. That's what this is.
It's the gateway to hell, dude. They think CERN is right on the top of the gateway to hell. That is the whole psyop right there. Is like nobody talks about Switzerland, dude. Like
they're neutral.
Yeah, like they just get to say they're neutral. They're just like, yeah, we are neutral, and you're like, okay, so we just accept that. Like, it makes all these psychopath leaders, none of them challenge Switzerland's we're neutral, because that is the head, and then it has other departments, which is the Vatican, the city of London, and DC. That's the big four right there. That's my humble opinion. I get everybody wants to think it's Israel. I totally get that, but I don't. I think Israel's just a smokescreen so you don't focus on Switzerland, the city of London, the Vatican, and DC. And that's not good. That's not good. You still want to talk about? There's involved. There's involved.
There's blacks involved. Everyone's involved.
But
Dude,
no, I mean,
there's
are a big
Muslims
component.
involved. Everybody. It's all involved.
Like this is spiritual warfare, and they have a bunch of tools laid out in front of them. The Jews are one of the most utilized tools. I'm going to go as far as
Great
to say
tool.
that. They're a fantastic tool, but everybody stops there. They're yelling at the hammer, and it's like, go past the hammer. Look at the hand that's holding it, and what is the hand that's holding it? It's a fallen angel.
Rubbing its hands.
It's a fallen angel. All of this is spiritual warfare. People are stopping at the physical aspect of it, and I think it's designed so that as far as the buck goes in the physical realm, you know, obviously it gets crazier, it gets discerned and shit like that. But like the normies in a large way are being allowed to see the new thing right now, and it's like this is. That you got to go back past that because there's more. There's more. Guess what, guys? Buckle up because there's more. And people don't want to do that. They're stopping there because of what happened in Weimar and, you know, all that other shit. But I think it's people are having that trouble right now where they're willing to look at, but they're not willing to look at like, well, what about all this weird like satanic ritual shit? Like, well, what are they doing rituals to? Who are they communing with? Who are they sacrificing?
Well,
children
here's something that's really like disturbing. So in the Bible, it talks about when he recovers from this head wound, he comes back, and some people we've spoken to said that he doesn't come back quite human. He comes back as like something else, like an entity inside of him. He's the shell of whatever this is that's going to come and now rule and present itself as the king of the world. We have to get comfortable with the idea of these things being physical or being out in the open. Like we talk about Satanism and things like that, but we're about to get really comfortable with all of these entities because in the end times, that's what the Bible is talking about, man. It's like that 3.5 year mark, right around there, shit starts to get really weird. But for it to get there, we would have had to accepted this a while ago in the cultural narrative. So that's what we're shifting to right now, as we're talking about the Trump. But this is all in the backdrop, and it's freaking me out, to be honest.
I just want to say quickly too is like, you know, people just so you understand my position on this whole Olympic ceremony thing. I know that the Olympics have a lot to do with literally it stems from Greek, right? Mount Olympus and all this other shit. But I don't like that in 2024 we are doing ceremonies to Zeus, which back in April they did an entire ceremony to Zeus, which I just thought was a little bit crazy, getting ready for the Olympic ceremonies in Paris. And then we have Dionysus, the god of wine and theater and things of that nature, who's hanging out. Blue skin, fascinatingly enough, just like the Hindu gods, who it's my contention they were fallen angels and the Nephilim as well. So when people go like, oh, this is just tradition, I go, well, no, because you're paying homage to what I consider to be the fallen. I believe they're real. See, that's where people get mixed up with me, especially. They're like, oh, you don't believe in other religions, but you believe in your religion. I'm like, no, I believe in yours too. I just happen to think that they're fallen angels. And that here we are paying homage to them on one of the biggest world stages ever, especially in this past Paris one. So, I mean, I just wanted to clear that because people say that a lot to me. They're like, oh, you believe in Christianity, but you don't think there's any validity. Like, no, I think there's a lot of validity. I think you guys are just being deceived by fallen angels and their offspring. But, you know,
you know what, man? I had a conversation with my friend, and I go, all these little G gods are either Nephilims or fallen angels. She's like, I can't subscribe to that. And I'm like, I get it, man, but I'm just telling you, like, and the reason Jesus is different is because he was sent down to give everybody a code to rise and ascend out of this low vibrational shit. Now, let me just say one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
In Vedic astrology and in Hinduism, they talk about God trapping entities down here, and those extend way past the Abrahamic religions. They've been talking about that forever, man. It's like, so you can sit there and demonize Christianity all you want. Astrology talks about it, and Hinduism talks about it. And The reason that Christ is different because he is God visiting here to give us a cheat code to get out of this place. And this is why, and again, there's a lot. I have guests on that will talk about they don't believe that Christ existed. They think it's a manufactured from the Roman Catholic Church, that from the Vatican. And I go, I just, for me, it's just, there's too much information out there. And the people who are doing dark magic seem to hate this guy and seem to constantly try to destroy anything he's created, his image, his teachings.
It's fascinating how you could use his name to ward off alien encounters. You can ward off demonic spirits, sleep paralysis.
Sam, Genesis 3:15. Think about that. That's the scripture that describes the seed war. That you'll bruise his heel, but he'll crush your head. When he's God is talking to Satan about the daughters of man. And what's happening here is he's describing the small g gods creating the Nephilim, having sex with women, taking them as wives, creating them. They become like gods on earth, and they become kings on earth. And God kind of comes and he does the one perfect thing. He's like, I'm going to do exactly what you did, but I'm going to do it perfect. And then when you have so he creates Jesus. And this is an entity that is, the trifecta, or whatever we want to call it, the Trinity. But this is an entity that when you just say his name, if you're being abducted by aliens, which it's my contention that those are Nephilim or fallen angels or something to do with that. They're not from outer space. They're from right here. They're just whatever. You say his name and they have to flee. Same thing with demons. And it's incredible about the power that's given in this name. And there's testimony after testimony of people that use it constantly in these encounters. So to say that, Jesus was fake or not real, I don't know. Can you deal with some of these contentions here?
And because I'm not going to get into it because it's a whole thing to unpack. Nobody can ever tell me shit. I have had my own personal experiences where I've had to call out to Jesus to stop really strange things in my own life. But I think
you were weird shit and you wanted to stop?
Weird shit was me. No. But I think the other thing that's worth mentioning here is all these other pagan gods, they require sacrifice from you. This one sacrificed for us.
It's always the inverse.
Great point. That's a really great point. Wow.
It's always a reflection, right? So everything that's created, these entities cannot create. They can only take and pervert and flip around. So everything that you see is always an inversion and a perversion of what God has done. And now we're getting really religious or spiritual here, but this is just how it reads, man. This is what I'm studying. This is what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, man. I this is all this negative stuff that these people that push in Hollywood and Washington D.C. In these bankings, all this stuff. It's so dark. It's so evil. It's playing to pagan gods or playing to little g gods. That to me infers a god. That to me infers if we see one side pushing the darkness, that means there must be light. It's just the yin and yang of the universe. If you're constantly seeing Satan everywhere or what they want to push as Satan on you, that infers a god to me. There has to be if they worship the darkness, that means they're choosing not to worship the light or the high vibrational love of God. That's my belief.
Honestly, that's how I got here. I won't bore you with the details, but it's especially, I think it's true for most conspiracy theorists. You start by noticing those things. When I was younger, I was like, why is there so much of this symbolism in the music industry if it's not real? Why is there so much in Hollywood if it's not real? And the more you get hit with all of these coincidences and they pile up, the more it starts to paint this picture where it's like, oh, wait, well, clearly somebody believes in these dark entities. And so if this side of the coin is real, then the other side must be real. And that was the reasonable doubt that led me in this direction. And I've been doing this for, I guess 18 years, man. And it took me a long time to come to this point where I realized the biblical lens is the most accurate lens through which to see all of this fuckery.
It makes sense. Everything lines up. If you think it's about money and power, why do they want to kill off people? That's less power and less people to get money from. It makes no sense. The only way it makes sense is if you are trying to work for a dark entity that wants to destroy God's greatest creation.
That's really that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the initial jealousy of us being created and angels that were alongside God saying these things are kind of shit, and he's like, nah, I like these guys. Like, look at this guy, he has a spark of divinity in him, and they don't have that. And that's what creates the rebellion. That's what creates the fall. That's what creates all the way right up until now. It's just like this, and that's how gay, like whatever you want to call him, Satan, the devil, Zeus, whatever, whichever, choose your fallen angel. That's how gay that they are. That you'd hold a grudge for all of eternity over what daddy chose. It's like, just get over yourself, dude. Get over yourself.
This is a really great thing. This guy's been kind of teeing off, but he brings up, I never understood how Christians will adhere to a book written and edited for control and power by a ruling class and goes balls deep into praising it. Like, how can you not see how you're being deceived by another control mechanism, which is what? What is the control mechanism? How are we being controlled? That's my question. Now listen real quick. There's editings for sure, but the editings get you to buy into a different narrative that to me isn't Christ, isn't that? So that I'll agree with you. We can get into, the Scofield Bible and all that. We can totally get into that. And then there's people who their whole job is to find the oldest Bibles and compare them to new Bibles. And then they point out all the things that have changed. And there are people who are working on that. And there's a lot of people out there trying to find really old Bibles and read those Bibles. So people are more aware of what this guy's saying than he gives credit to. And there's always going to be knucklehead sheep that are just going to follow whatever they're told because that's the easiest path. But there's a lot of people working their asses off to get the truth and to get closer to God. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people, I was lucky enough not to have this, or I suppose blessed not to have this. A lot of people have all of this baggage from, maybe their own personal experiences. When I was young, I went to Catholic school, or I was raised in a religious family, or, my favorite, comedian, or my favorite movie, or my favorite thing, that was really impactful when I was young was like shitting on the hypocrisy of Christianity, or I see the priests and the preachers that are touching kids and getting shifted around, and that fills me with resentment, yada, 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 all these different things. I didn't have like any of that. Nobody tried to make me religious when I was a kid. I didn't have any examples of it. Like, so when I decided to finally look at it, I just looked at it like, well, I don't know. I kind of see a lot of things pointing to this direction. Okay, I'll look at it. I didn't have any baggage. And I think like even the baggage is a lot of it is cultural. We often say like Christianity is the only thing that you can get on stage and dunk on freely to the sound of like a round of applause. And you really can't do that with other religions. And I think that in America, that's been allowed to happen for a really long time. And I think we've kind of been culturally engineered to almost laugh at it and think that people are stupid for even looking at it. And I just never really felt that way. So all I would say is like, if you're wondering how does a person go from being a conspiracy theorist, like for my entire life, to all of a sudden finally settling in a place where I go, all right, the best lens to look at this is the Christian one, the biblical one. Just look at it without the baggage. Just, stop freaking out.
Well, the baggage to me is man-made. It's not of God.
It's not.
It's the actions of men. And they want you to attribute that to God. And they go, well, why would God allow that to happen? Well, this is the story of this realm. And God putting these demons in charge of this realm. We live in an occult realm. Isaac Weishaupt said that, and it really clicked with me. We live in an occult realm. This is why people who play to the occult rules tend to thrive, because they're playing to the rules of the realm. And this is what I'm getting to. I won't keep you guys the whole time much longer, because I know it's late where you guys are. But like, listen,
my pronouns are sleepy. Hi.
I respect it. We're gonna wrap it up. I don't want to keep much longer, but it's just like when you brought up that the thing with the tweet with Elon Musk, it blew up. Well, my pronoun joke blew up, and it's because it causes chaos. That's why they blew it up. If you say something that causes chaos, the internet brings it up because it's black magic. But the occult, like it's this thing I have real quick is like why women who go, oh, I have 500 bodies with the amount of guys they slept with, they act like that's something, and it's like, no, it's not. It's literally the second easiest thing to do in our society is give away. The only thing easier is to give away money, and money is easier because with more money you'll get more. Okay, that's the only reason it trumps. All right, so it's like you're acting like you're doing something to follow Jesus' teachings. Okay, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm still working my way through it, right? But to follow Jesus' teaching is to work on your craft and to go through it to get to it. And that is what life is about. Easy versus simple. Okay, and you got to go through it. So there's all these obstacles, which is these dark entities running this motherfucker. And you got to go to the opposite because that's how you get closer to God.
But people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. That's my whole thing about the news. I'm like, listen, guys, you might be right about a lot of these criticisms, but in the end of the day, like, where's your homestead? Like, do you have kids? Are you taking care of them? And they're like, we don't want to talk about that shit. We want to be mad at. And I'm like, all right, but I'm watching you with Nick Fuentes in Chicago getting like punched in the face, and you're not really doing anything. You're just putting yourself in danger. You're going to Chicago. Like, yeah. Take care of your shit. They don't want to hear that.
It's like, the Bible in a lot of ways is like, hey, take a look at yourself. And like, nobody wants to do that. We want to externalize everything. It's so much easier. That's what I'm saying. People love theater, right? Give us a bad guy. Give us a bad guy so we can go and get the bad guy. We don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to take, tally of what we got going on inside.
It sucks.
We don't want to take, responsibility for whatever role we play in all of this. We want the bad guy. Give us the bad guy. And that's why, this whole thing is like taking advantage of people's propensity to just fall for at our core, we're storytellers. That's how tradition has been passed on for so long. And that's being hijacked right now in a huge way, where this bit of theater is unfolding and we're just biting it hook, line, and sinker because they're giving us a bad guy and they're giving us a good guy.
Yeah, and my final thing is this. Not everybody makes it to heaven. And that might be the same to be true about everybody on the show right now. We all might not go unless we start following the rules. So I don't hate people if they don't want to follow the teachings of Jesus. I don't hate you. It's your journey with Christ. Okay. And it's your journey with God, and you're on your journey. And God says not everybody gets into heaven. And that's just the way it is. And it's like, I'm also not going to live my life hating people that do things that I think is anti-God. Hey, that's their life. As long as they're not hurting people, in particular children, you'll hear nothing from me. I'm not going to allow the government to get into people's life and regulate what they can and cannot do. That is not me. I'm not going to live in a place of hate. That's not how I'm going to operate. So when it comes to Trump, when it comes to Camel Toe Harris, just know these are just pawns or they're sorcerers, and they're manipulating you. And you could either fall for it and then start hating your friend. Like, I have friends who stop talking to their family members. What are you doing? What are you doing? How is that winning? How's that being open-minded? How's that being loving? I don't understand that. You hate, so you hate the ones you're supposed to love? Don't understand that, dog. Don't understand that. Guys, one more time, tell them where they can find you. I don't even know if I asked you at the beginning. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at TOPLOBSTA. I'm on Twitter a lot, Instagram. It's spelled right there. TOPLOBSTA.com. That's where my merch is at. And Nephilim Death Squad, you can find us. Also, Tower Gang. Go check out Tower Gang. That's where we do the complete opposite of what we just did here. It's just complete bullshit.
Smut.
Off the walls nonsense.
That, dude. Nothing wrong with that.
I was going to add on to what you said, Sam, that like, we don't know if any of us will get into heaven. You're right, man. But it's just like what I do every day is like I get up and I try to be aware of the shit that I got wrong yesterday or in the moment. Like if I'm about to get something wrong, because you do it all the time. You get mad at your kids or whatever. I was like, how could I fix this later? And it's just every day, just constant trying to make improvements. And then you do the same mistakes and you slip up, and you just being aware of it, like taking constant inventory of yourself rather than all this other bullshit that's out there that is not going to affect you. So that's how, I don't know how God wants us to live, but that's how I'm trying to live every day. And find me at TOPLOBSTA. There you go.
Guys, you can find me at David L. Corbo on Twitter. Go find us at Nephilim Death Squad on YouTube and Rumble, and also check out Timeline Cleanse on Rumble. That's my solo show. Top, are we announcing the event, or are we holding that?
Yeah,
under wraps?
talk about the event. Talk about the event.
We should hold it. Well, we're doing an event called Bohemian Grove, and we're still kind of like we have some other pieces in the air right now that we're figuring out, but it's going to be a cool 2-day event, and there will be more details. Follow us on Twitter, because it'll be all over there. Follow us on Rumble and YouTube, and we're going to be making announcements and stuff when everything is settled. But right now we're figuring it out, but it's coming through. It's happening. October 25th, October 26th. Something's happening. We might be there. We might not, but it'll be that day.
And I love what you guys are doing. You guys are really smart. You guys, I've just loved having a conversation with you. You guys get it, man. And we didn't even put it on YouTube, and we got almost 3,300 people. 33. We got like over 3,000 people watching us live at 11 at night where you guys are, 9 o'clock where I am, or like 8 o'clock. Sorry. So great day, great numbers. I'm probably going to rip this off, guys, and then re-put it out later as an episode, maybe tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. Love you guys. This was a great episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and looking forward to our next conversation, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Hope you guys have a great Sunday, rest of your Sunday, and enjoy the rest of your week. Don't let the demons get to you. Love your brothers and sisters. Bye, everybody.
Now a clip from Broken Simulation.
Ready? Are you ready? Here we go.
No, I know who it is now.
Here we go.
G steal his entire persona, flow, name, and hit single Juicy from a Mississippi rapper back in 1993, a full year before Biggie ever came out? Let's discuss. Now, I don't want to do this. I'm a New Yorker. I think Biggie's an icon. This is like telling a little kid Santa Claus doesn't exist, but goddamn it, I'm a newsman. So back in 1993, a rapper named the Notorious B.I.G, aka Big Daddy, came out with this single. I never thought about the keys that I sold. I moved a few 20s, for me, that was plenty. I was too used to packing gats and stuff. Now honeys play me close like butter play toast. And a full year later, we get the Notorious B.I.G, aka Big Papa, basically putting out the same song, even rapping from the Mississippi down to the East Coast. It's only been mentioned a couple times on smaller rap podcasts. And I know people are going to say this happens all the time in the rap game with reference tracks and ghostwriting. This is basically the greatest rapper of all time, and we find out that he launched his career as a fraud. And apparently, the only thing B1 has ever said is this alleged email or letter where he acknowledges that Biggie jacked his whole style, but that after he was murdered, he left it alone. I don't believe that, man. This was the guy being called the greatest rapper of all time, and it's your sound, and you didn't speak up until after he was murdered? No. This was early 90s Puffy as an A&R who was scratching and clawing, trying to make it big, who found this guy, stole his whole style, and said, we'll give you a percentage of the money we make if you keep your mouth shut. And this guy, B1, has been back in Mississippi ever since with closed lips and a stack full. Did the Notorious...
Yeah, but here's the problem. Do you really think he got a stack full?
Well, here's something I found on this is devastating. You're totally right.
I mean, it is listen, when I tell you this, I'm not over exaggerating. This is paradigm shifting for me. This is like the only guy who's like, man, this is the guy that this dude is the only real one of what has become this giant garbage genre.
It's all, dude. Listen to this now.
Original Biggie Small thing gonna send me for everything I got if I use his name again. So please, nobody, if you see me, my name is the Notorious B.I.G. Call me Big, Notorious Big, whatever. No more Biggie Small. That is.
So that's him talking about that guy, like saying that he's threatened to sue him for using that name that sounds so similar. You know, that he's the original Biggie Smalls. Like he bit the name too.
Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable, man.
Wait till Kamala Harris finds out about this. She's gonna be, it's gonna rip her heart out.
Johnny, is anything real? Is anything real?
No.
And now I'm hearing all this stuff about Biggie being like into like, you know, girls, which I think that is he gets right in front of the timeline before, you know, like they were talking about in Joe Rogan. But it's like there's a time where like, well, he's but you know, he's super artistic. We're not gonna deal with it right now. It's like you're getting hunted down, which is what it should have been from the start, right? But now I'm hearing that stuff about him. I mean, paradigm shifting. That's all I have to say.
Right? It would have been P. Diddy, right, that stole this and like gave it to. Isn't that how that would have worked? I think so, right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing that I will tell you. That P. Diddy, you watch P. Diddy as a young kid on the corner, he could totally rhyme. But what it always comes down to, and I hate to say this, okay, but like Biggie Smalls is Generation X's Lady Gaga. Like Lady Gaga has the exact same story as Biggie Smalls minus the Lady Gaga, basically the person she stole her persona from. She just basically, the girl got thrown off a balcony. If you listen to the mom,
that'll
right?
Do it. Shit, that's crazy.
You listen to the mom. The mom's like, she stole my daughter's persona after my daughter jumped off a balcony when she wasn't suicidal. Like, how crazy is that? Like, it is nuts to me.
I don't. Nothing surprises me. I'm just. This is shocking to me. I keep looking for like a someone to tell me like, hey, this is actually just made up, and nobody's telling me that on the internet. I need somebody to just say, hey, this is not real, but it is real.
It's so sad, dude. It's so sad. I mean, like, okay, let's just say, even though I hate it, some producer heard this guy's song and basically took it to you. And you're like, yeah, man, dude, nice flow, bro. The producer's like, yeah, I created it. It was awesome. I love the flow. I just came up. I woke up one day and I downloaded this flow into my head. and then it just was. And then he put it out and he's like, damn, dude, this guy did me dirty. He put it out. But the guy stole the song and his name. And it sucks.
I mean, you would think you would at least change the name. It's like the NASA astronauts, It's like, can we just at least, change the name a little bit?
Well, it's like you get into these people like Led Zeppelin, dude. Like Led Zeppelin.
They're the worst.
It's like everyone's like, and I even once in a while use Led Zeppelin as the gold standard of rock bands. And you're like, they just ripped off blues people. So basically everyone just rips off black people from the South.
That's the Stones did, the Beatles did, all those British bands that came over, all their stuff was informed and even, kind of ripped off from, old school blues. Yeah, for sure. Especially the Stones. The Stones were, the Beatles wrote the Stones' first hit, They felt kind of bad. They were friends with them and felt kind of bad for them and just wrote them a song to kind of get them started because they were just playing.
Said the Rolling Stones in there.
They were just playing R&B covers.
It's really crazy to me. And then it's like rap is just, just think about how we used to look at rappers. And now like all this information has come out. And it's just like, it was all astroturfed BS. Most of it was an intelligence work, and most of it involved closeted homosexuals. Like everything we thought was almost 180 of that. Like they're fighting the man and they're real dudes. In reality, they're CIA plants who are putting caps in each other's asses.
Yeah, and to me, I don't want to blame Notorious B.I.G. as much as because it is P. Diddy, produced all that stuff. So it was him. I'm sure he knew of this guy, and probably this guy didn't want to sign, or he didn't have the right look, he didn't have quite the right vibe for P. Diddy or whatever. And he was just like, all right, dude, what are you going to do?
Exactly what happened here, dude. on the streets in New York, they talked about this fat kid that could spit rhymes. Okay. But that's all he had. And P. Diddy was like working in the industry, and either it was at the Def Jam Records, I think he was at, or whatever the record label he's working at. So it was either he was there, and people just sending their best to try to get signed. And he just heard this song, go, oh shit! Look at this fat on this cover. Looks exactly like this kid on the streets who needs a persona.
Yeah. He just ripped it off. Yeah, he stole. What do they say in comedy? He stole his soul or whatever.
No, well, and that's always, it's so funny because when a comic goes, you stole my essence, like that's when you're in the cuckoo town, right? That's when a sure
what
sign
happened here, though, dude. That's what happened in this
That's
case.
100% what happened here, right? It's nuts. So now all these rappers are like CIA plants or gay, right?
Oh, well, yeah, and gay. You mean? Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah.
Either they're CIA,
No,
either
they're both.
CIA
Most of them are
plants
both.
or gay or CIA gay plants. One or the other. That's your option right there. Those are your options. So now you got, I mean, like, dude, it's just like everything I believed is just so and like, dude, I've always said this, Johnny, maybe you will remember not. I always felt like Chuck D from Public Enemy was the most underrated frontman for a band I've ever seen. I have always said that he deserves to be discussed as one of the great lead singers of all time. Of all of them, who do you consider the greatest lead singers of all time?
Wait, you're talking just hip hop or?
No, I'm talking of music. I mean, obviously Freddie Mercury.